Hello, welcome to the programme. I've been really looking forward to this one because I've known who the guest was going to be for about 3 weeks. But during that 3 weeks, I watched his team's progress and I thought, brilliant. Leader of League Two. Oh, second in League Two. That'll do me. I think he's gone down to 7th in League Two since I booked him as a guest, but nonetheless, and he's lost 4-0 at Sheffield Wednesday this week. We'll get the elephant out of the room pretty quickly. Other than that, it's a very warm welcome to the manager of Harrogate Town. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Simon Weaver. I bet you've had far better welcomes than that. We're going to get the elephant out of the room,
of course,
fairly quickly, but I should say that this guy, I was going to call him unique. I'm not quite sure that's the right word, but he's a bit of a one-off in that he is a one-off. He's the longest-serving club manager of all the 92. He's been manager of Harrogate Town for 12 years, during which, if you didn't know, they've had a couple of momentous promotions and sort of inconceivably to many people, they're in the Football League, and not only that, they're doing well, and this guy deserves a lot of credit for that. Is that better?
That's better, yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Is that a better way of introducing you?
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to say, you're a long-distance manager. It sort of ties in with the fact that how we came to arrange this programme, because it was at the end of the Sheffield Marathon. I'd run it. Your wife, I think, had run it.
Yes, yeah.
And as you do, we were in a pub, weren't we, getting some refreshment. You didn't need it, but your wife did, and so did I.
No, I didn't deserve that, but she needed refuelling, obviously.
Yeah.
And found ourselves in the right place in the pub, and I saw you tap your shoulder, and I thought, I know that face, you know.
Yeah.
So it was,
I knew that face as well. But do you know when you see a face and you think, I can't quite.
It looks a bit older than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So we said, oh, we'll do this. So it's great to see you. And I mentioned we'll sort of shoo the elephant out of the room very quickly. Yeah. You were at Hillsborough in what is now called the Papa John's Trophy, EFL Trophy, on Tuesday. You were both qualified, both Harrogate and Sheffield Wednesday, but it was still a match that you desperately wanted to do well in for all sorts of reasons. And I guess you were pretty sore straight afterwards.
I was.
4-0.
Yeah, quite a few people have remarked, actually. It's probably the angriest I've been after a game. And I think undeniably, it meant that little bit more to me, just because I wanted to put a real good show in front of the Wednesday fans and a lot of friends and relatives there. And so to have that scoreline, whether it was deserved or not is another thing, but it's still, you face the facts. We've lost 4-0, conceded 4 goals that we probably shouldn't have done. When the dust settled and you look back on the video, I was quite proud as an attacking force that we moved the ball around in the old Wednesday way, really. Shifted the ball on the floor and attacked aggressively. But disappointed to lose the game, as you're disappointed to lose any game.
Well, can I tell you, if it's any consolation, it was one of the strangest games I have ever seen in my career. It goes back a few years. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a team win 4-0 before, and for their goalkeeper to be head and shoulders the man of the match. I've read stats since, because I lost count of the number of saves that Joe Wildsmith made, 10. I'd also say that you were denied an absolutely stonewall penalty in the first half. So in many ways it was freakish, but you were up against a Wednesday team with a lot of quality and players who had things to prove. But does any of that console you?
Well, it does really, and we went into the game knowing that there was no real damage done, whatever the result.
But to your pride, there was.
But I have to say, yeah, it did sting me going back in that away changing room. I was an apprentice and had a couple of years pro there, and that was where I got changed for a couple of years. And so to go back in after 23 years was quite bizarre, but to go back in losing the game, stung, that's for sure. But it's a learning process for a lot of our players. We were calmer today. We looked at the video analysis and one-to-one session with some of the players, and we have to understand why those goals are conceded. And the players have stepped up quite a few leagues, some of them, and they'll continue to do so if they have that appetite to learn and get cut, come back for more, and be better.
Were they a bit taken aback with the way you reacted, if you don't do that very often?
I've done it a few times, but I think they understand my passion, and they understand that if we're too relaxed about it, then we accept defeat, But I certainly want to win, and yeah, my pride's hurting, and because we're ambitious, we want to keep getting better, want positive results, and we want to continue the momentum.
Well, before we move on from that, we will very quickly. One thing that really struck me is how you departed from the old cliche of when a team concedes goals and managers are questioned about a particular player or players who've made errors or whatever. No, it's not his fault. We attack as a team and we defend as a team. That is the standard, boring cliche. You ripped that apart completely and ripped into your defenders. You praised the rest of the team, midfield and attack, and you absolutely squarely pointed the finger at your defenders. That was quite refreshing, I thought.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Probably the back four thought was a bit harsh, but I think they're really honest lads. I know these lads, we've got good relationships, and they know that they're going to get the brutal, honest truth. If it's really good, we tell them. If it's damaged the team, the performances, then I tell them straight, and then we backed it up on the video, and yeah, they feel hurting because of that, but they know that it's a grown-up environment. We come in, they had the day off yesterday, we came in today, we're all shaking hands, get the music back on, get the spirit back up. But they know that, we all have to improve. And we have to improve together. But I think it's just too much of a generalisation to say, well, all the team was at fault for those goals, because all across the back four, we have to do better moving forward if we want to keep progressing as a team. And on that occasion, it was really magnified and we could see where we were at fault.
We'll come on to Sheffield Wednesday in a moment, and obviously in any other circumstance against any other team, you'd have been delighted, wouldn't you?
I know.
To see your team when you're Doncaster born, but you're an Owls fan. I'll ask you why, and where the connection goes back in a moment. But 12 years as manager of one club, that doesn't happen these days. And I know obviously you started from a base in non-league, and maybe Harrogate's expectations aren't what they are for many clubs that you're now sort of playing on a regular basis. But that's a hell of a long time. You took over as player manager initially. Could you have envisaged at that time that you'd still be here doing that job?
Probably not. I think back then it was about getting on board with coaching, and it was a bonus to be wanted by Bill Fotherby once I applied, to get my foot in the door for the next stage of my career. And I wanted to stay in the game. Just have a massive passion for football, and I was always a thinker right from being in young Owls, from 9, 10 years old, but moving forward into my teens and early 20s. I remember my brother, mid-20s, on loan at Macclesfield, saying, no disrespect to you as a player, but I think you'll be better as a coach and a manager. So to have a chance, an opportunity to do that with Bill at Harrogate Town at 31, it was an opportunity I couldn't miss out on. I wanted to grab it with both hands. But it was very difficult, with the budget, with what I inherited, no players under contract at that time. It was really starting from scratch.
Bill Fotherby, what a character, and a really nice man. I was very sad when he died a few years ago. I was in touch with him quite a bit when he was at Leeds, and he had a big part to play when Howard Wilkinson was manager at Leeds, didn't he?
Massive character. Massive character. When I went to meet him, he invited me to his house, saw my application, and he had the radiator on full blast, and it was June, and I'm thinking, I don't know how to handle this one, but he was massively passionate for Harrogate, and he had all these pictures up from Leeds United signing Gordon Strachan and Gary McAllister, all those famous stories, and he helped build the Leeds up into obviously what they achieved, at the top level, and historical, for Leeds United. But at Harrogate Town, he had his own history. And, I wanted to be on board the club.
I mentioned earlier about the league positions dwindling slightly since I booked you to appear, because I was willing you to win. Yeah. It'll be better. But you're still, in a terrific position, aren't you?
We are.
There, a very competitive position, but maybe even above where you would have expected to be at
I think
time.
so, yeah. We made a rod for our own backs, really, starting so well and probably exceeded expectations. But we're still in the FA Cup. We beat Wrexham last week. We're in the playoffs in League Two, and it's the nature of the beast at this level that there'll be peaks and troughs. So you might win 3, you might lose 1, draw a couple, but you've just got to keep the spirit going, keep driving it forward, and keep looking to improve, little areas of the game. and in the meantime, just nailing those fundamentals at our level. So you win the percentages, you get people in the right positions, and keep the spirit high. And we're trying to do that, But we're going to big grounds every week. There's big away followings visiting Harrogate now, and it's all new experiences, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, can I say it's a pleasure to visit Harrogate. I covered a couple of your games last season, and it was one of the most hospitable clubs at any level, anywhere. Honestly, it's
That's good.
really, really welcoming and warming. And I'll throw a few of your names of your players at you in a moment, because I went along on Tuesday, and 3 or 4 of them tremendously impressed me. Sheffield Wednesday, let's take off your Harrogate hat and put your Owls fans hat on. Are you optimistic for the season? How do you think it's going to go? Are you pleased, or do you think they've underperformed so far? What do you make of it?
Well, I think what they've got is they've got a manager that can connect with people, and just talking to him after, I knew him from years back, but it's the same old Darren Moore, big friendly guy, wants to engage with people, has got plenty of time for people, and I think that's what Wednesday needed at that moment, is someone who is really engaging, warm character, can connect with the fans, he's got passion for it, and wants that opportunity, and I'm sure he'll grab it. So I think a return to that warmth around the place is what Wednesday fans needed, and I'm sure they'll back him, because he's a great set of fans, and that's the 12th man at Hillsborough.
Do you not think that's underestimated, what you're saying, that they needed that warmth around the club? I think a lot of supporters only look at results, but certainly it needed that generating. It had become a cold, I wouldn't say hostile place, but it had become very, very cold and disconnected, it felt to me, the supporters. Yeah. And obviously it hadn't been run very well either, in terms of the owner, who I think takes some credit at least for seeing the light on some of the mistakes. And he's got Darren in, who's spreading a bit of warmth, like you said.
Yeah, well, 100%, and that's the spirit, and what they had probably years and years ago was that spirit. But what Darren will do, we'll get some members of staff like-minded and bring a new energy to it. And I think if Wednesday fans see the energy and they can engage with the Kop and get that Kop buzzing, it's a hard place to go, and make it hostile for the opposition, and they'll get balls in the box, they'll get people challenging and shifting the ball around at pace, and there was evidence of some obviously talented players against us the other night where you thought, oh yeah, with a bit of confidence, they'll come through, and it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, there were players like the 2 centre-backs, for a start, David Agbon-Toma, if I've pronounced that correctly. I haven't had to pronounce his name before, and it's a good sign if I have to keep on doing it. Kieran Brennan looks a really good footballing centre-back. It's difficult, I suppose, as opposition manager, really, to assess how well, but they were playing against some pretty good players.
Yeah, I mean, we try and, organise the players so they understand who they were facing. So it's difficult. It's a quite long list, playing squad list, but breaking it down, and we got some right, some wrong, in predicting the team. But I thought the goalkeeper was outstanding. Wildsmith, he was superb on the night, which is a good sign from us that we tested him, but we weren't ruthless enough. But he performed brilliantly. So they've got two very good keepers at Wednesday. The 2 young centre halves came through it against, a couple of good League 2 centre forwards, who want to succeed as well. So I thought Brennan was excellent on the ball, looked classy on the ball, and in time will probably fill out, and and if he's a force aerially as well as his dominance on the ball, he'll be a very good player.
I mean, that ball for the 3rd goal was fantastic. Releasing, I think, Shadipo on the left and the cross and the header from Byers. I know you'd have expected to stop it, but it was pretty good. And I'd imagine Darren Moore, I mean, you played alongside him briefly, didn't you, at Doncaster? You were centre-back partners. I imagine he would be a delight for players under his command.
Yeah, he's very enthusiastic. Even back then, I think he was 24, I was 19, and just getting changed next to him, I couldn't believe the size of the guy. Quite an intimidating figure, but then he had a big grin, and he galvanised that changing room that was struggling at Rose at the time. So he does that. If he does that with his troops, I think there'll be a force.
Are you confident that Wednesday will go up this season?
I'm confident they'll be very competitive, and there'll be expectations, I'm sure, because it's a huge club at that level. But from where they've been as well, you know, with quite a big upheaval, changeover of staff, it may take more time than probably we all want. But I think he'll get them playing with the style of football that the Wednesday fans deserve, and I think he'll mix it up. I think the other night, obviously, they played it around quite a bit at the back, but I think he'll probe in different ways as well.
Unless the wheels totally come off, I've always argued that Darren Moore should have a minimum of 2 years. I mean, well, settle things down, you know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think people do need time, and I think because he's a good man as well, I think he deserves time, you know, and I think he'll to implement his own ways. And he's got obviously a clear idea from speaking to him after. I'm not going to tell everything, you know, that he said in confidence, but he's got a clear plan, and I think that's half the battle.
Okay, because that's one of the criticisms been levelled at him by supporters and sometimes by journalists like myself. Has he got, you know, I know he's had some injuries at the back, etc., but has he got a clear 11 that he intends to play? Has he got a clear system? Because it's varied from 4 at the back to 3 at the back.
Yeah.
But do you sense that now in his head, he's got some clear idea of his best team and his best formation?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think it's very difficult. We're having a few injuries ourselves, and especially at the back where you want to keep it solid and consistent in your selection. He's been tested with that, but he's found a way of getting a few results, and I think the Sunderland one was obviously a big one. They're still in the FA Cup. Obviously, they'd like to have won at home. It's another long journey. But I think once they get competition for places, that helps in training, drive the standards up, and then hopefully then they'll take that into the league campaign, and they're not far off it. You know, a few weeks ago when you're looking at Sunderland really succeeding, and they're so close to them now in the table, it's about just getting that momentum moving forward again, and I think they've done that.
It's good. It's very heartening and quite revealing that even though you can't reveal the exact conversation, you feel that that Darren Moore feels he's getting there.
Oh, definitely.
In terms of,
you know, he's confident, you know, in his group, and he's got his own members of staff around him buzzing, you know, feeling they're good people.
Because off the record confidence is far more meaningful than on the record confidence, because on the record confidence is spouted by every manager and player everywhere. I've always felt over the years it's when off the record a player or manager tells you they're confident, that means something then.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm not setting him up for a fall, you know, by saying, oh, he definitely said his promotion this year.
No.
But he's excited by it, and I think you want Wednesday managers to be excited by belonging to, you know, such a big club.
Yeah.
And he's not fazed by it. You know, he wants to do it and do it for the blue and white side of the city.
Yeah. Well, you know, I hope he does, because I feel as well that the first season is your best opportunity. Sunderland have been trying for 4 years now. I think this is their 4th attempt. So if you can do it in that first year, so much the better.
Well, it'd be really exciting, won't it? And COVID obviously got in the way the end of last season for him personally. That was a battle, and for the club to go down, it was probably very late in the day for him to change that momentum then, but he was pretty ruthless with it, you know, in the summer, and turnaround of players. But it's, I think it was a refreshing appointment, and you know, I'm looking forward to it when he's really implemented it all and has a bit of luck with injuries, and it'd be a thrill to see them right the promotion hunt.
Absolutely, and certainly got the quality of player there. You would have thought it's just a case of just fitting it together.
And it's
signings were terrific, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and they're exciting. So it's time spent on the training ground together, and you need the wind behind you with injuries as well. You need that understanding. But
just before we end part one, I know you were thrilled with your reception the other night, both before the game and indeed after the game as well.
Yeah, it was special for me, that, you know, and I've looked from the South Stand down onto Hillsborough pitch for many years as a supporter, but to be back and looking up and, you know, and feeling that warm reception meant a lot to myself, and not only me but the rest of my family.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Plenty more to discuss. Harrogate, the players that you've got there, more on Sheffield Wednesday, multifarious subjects. And it looks as if James Gregg has turned into Andy Pack this week. All will be revealed in a couple of minutes from now. Hope you can rejoin us then. See you.